Okay. The topic of today is shaping Europe's digital future. Let me ask you how we can do it without innovate. So let's talk about innovation. Let's define what is innovation. From a standard, we define innovation as something new that creates value. So I think that mostly when we are hearing about innovation, we are thinking, let's do something different. But that's not the question. The question is what we are doing is creating real value and what value we want to bring. So today we have discussing on some problems, unsatisfied market needs, fragmented standardization approach solutions, and maybe diverse prioritization criteria. So I would say that we have a problem to align maybe objectives and priorities. We have some problems regarding promoting coordination and collaboration also at the standardization level. Building partnership maybe between European and international standardization bodies. But why not to say also how to protect the intellectual property rights of the different standardization organizations, and also how to protect their respective business models. So this is the problem. Let me only very briefly name you some solutions or some principles for solution. Let me talk about the principle of realization of value. So it's turning a standard into value, ensuring that the standard adds tangible benefits. Future-focused leaders. So it is shaping Europe's digital future by committed, supportive, and visionary leadership. Strategic direction, how to align efforts with the overall standardization strategy and setting specific standardization priorities. Exploiting insight, utilizing data, knowledge, insight from various standardization sources. Managing uncertainty, which is very important. Identify, assessing, and managing risks associated with digital ecosystem rather than avoiding risks permanently. Adaptability, developing a flexible and resilient standardization frameworks, or a system approach, which means manage a standard development approach through a structured manner, understanding the complexity and avoiding isolated approaches. I will add something that is very important, which is about innovation culture, which is cultivating a shared mindset, behavior, and supportive environment for ecosystem creativity and experimentation. So under this scope, we will discuss today with 5 speakers. So we have again some time constrictions, but the idea will be understand from 3 main real and important use cases what are their contexts, the main challenges they are facing for managing innovation. And also we will have some solution from the standardization bodies at the European international level. So we have the pleasure to come today with Zakaryae Boudi, I hope I pronounce well your name, from Tokenised Economies Institute. We have the pleasure to come with Miguel, you know him, that is now telling us about ISBE. Ismael Arribas online will talk us about LNET. Then Cesara Pasini, that is coming from CEN and ISO technical committees, and Johan Claire, which is the chair of ISO TC 279 on innovation management. So very briefly, I ask you maybe 1 minute, introduce you and tell a bit more.
Yeah, thank you, Belen. My name is Zach, so it's chair of the Tokenised Economies Institute, which is a research initiative and platform based in France that is backed by Caisse des Dépôts, which is the national public bank of France. The Tokenized Economies Institute is focusing on tokenization systems in general and all what they can bring to the economy and how they can interact with the existing economical systems from all the angles, basically. The core principles of the institute is to work on open source initiatives, always with the community. So it's always community driven and on real life use cases. So these are the principles, and the institute brings together multiple types of stakeholders, so including academia, institutional players, private institutions, technological players, etc.
Okay, thank you very much. We will know a bit more about it. Thank you. Welcome. Then, Miguel, tell us a bit more.
Hi, I'm Miguel Calero. You're working in Alastria as Executive Director of ISBE, that is the Spanish Blockchain Services Infrastructure, as it gets. So Alastria is a public-private consortium born in 2017. We built our first network in 2019 based on Quorum, and another network based on Hyperledger Besu, a public permission network, in 2022. Indeed, it was Alastria who introduced the public permission network concept in the ISO. So yeah, we have something to say in that kind of blockchain. So, and we've been managing more than 400 members and innovating in digital identity, in tokenization, and so on. I'm happy to contribute.
Welcome. Also, Ismael Arribas, you are online. Please, can you introduce yourself a bit about LNET?
Thank you very much. Well, it's not LNET, it's LNET. LNET.
Okay.
And during the debate, all the audience, which today I have the privilege to have the opportunity to wield my liaisons capacities, and I have the privilege to represent today to LNET. LNET, I will explain later on in the debate how much is related to institutional innovation and digital public goods. And furthermore, myself, I am contributing to the standardization efforts for a long time, over 10 years, in different technical committees. And the other privilege is to be co-founding member of INATBA and co-chairing the standardization committee. So I believe I could contribute to the value of this tremendous forum that is in the 6 years old. So happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for the contribution and also welcome. Then let's move to Cesara Pasini. Cesara, you are online also?
I'm online also as well. Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for inviting me to this conference. I'm delighted to represent SEN TC 389, the Technical Committee on Innovation Management, and to be a member of the ISO committee as well. In my professional life, I've been working as a management consultant since the beginning of 2000s in the field of information systems and ICT technologies, mainly in the banking area and in the stock exchanges. So I had the privilege of knowing blockchain technologies since the beginning. So this is a vital issue in general, but in Europe in particular.
Okay, thank you very much. Welcome also, Cesara. And last but not the least, for sure, is Johan Claire, which is the chair of ISO TC 279 Technical Committee. Johan, you are there online also?
Yeah, hi. I'm sorry for not being, in presence with you. That was a bit hard for me to go to Brussels today. So yes, I'm the chair of ISO TC 279. So that's the International Standardization Committee for Innovation Management. And that develops the standards under the family ISO 56000. So if maybe some of you have heard about 56,000 something from 1 to 12 until now for the published one. And yeah, I hope I will certainly have an opportunity to tell more about the standards in the coming minutes.
Okay, welcome also. So let's start for the discussion. I would like to start from the real use case to understand their context, but the most important, what are the main challenges you face to manage innovation in your respective networks? So let's start by Zakaryae, please.
Yes. So at the Institute, so we have been for the last 2 years doing quite substantial work with many players in the tokenization and the blockchain space, both at the institutional level and technical level. I think we have seen two major challenges in this journey of actually developing real-life projects in the blockchain, also from an innovation perspective. The first one is the big asymmetry of expertise and information within the ecosystem. So we have seen a big concentration of expertise in, especially technical expertise in this field, in the DeFi space, decentralized finance space, which is quite isolated from what the institutions and different other stakeholders in the economy are doing, and these lack these expertise, but the impact of the technology can be much higher if it is used within these organizations and ecosystems. So there's this big asymmetry of expertise that is also, I think, made more important because of the very fast evolution of the technology, meaning that when these organizations, and we have seen and we have mapped many projects, some of them are still ongoing, but they tend to work in a closed setup, not knowing what they don't know. So this is also something, and driving conclusions to sometimes negative conclusions, basically saying that they can't actually apply the technology because there are many issues, could be related to wallets, could be related to accounting, could be related to privacy, to security, to many other aspects that are actually solved from a technical standpoint, but they just don't know it, and they don't have the, they haven't had the opportunity actually to experiment with this place. So this is one big challenge, which is the asymmetry of information and expertise. The second is related to the first one, which is the fragmentation of these players, basically in terms of the initiatives they launch and the projects they experiment with. So they don't work together. So many institutions, so they have different sometimes interests and objectives, but they can rely on the same foundational knowledge and technology, and they don't have this information sharing, this experience sharing between themselves, and they sometimes they have advantage in collaboration, so they don't do it. And in that sense, we see also here a concentration of collaboration at the level of very big financial institutions, like large banks, asset managers, lots of them outside of Europe, but many good in Europe, in Germany, in France. But this is driven by some large initiatives by the ECB, and it's not accessible to everyone. And there's the vast majority that are running initiatives on their own silos without even talking to each other and not talking to the technical people that are working in DeFi. So this is also a big problem. We have witnessed that specifically in the development finance context. So with many development banks, NGOs, etc., working on financial inclusion development aspects that can really benefit from the technology, but they're kind of blocked because of these aspects. So this is basically also the reason why the Institute have made it central within its principles to have always this collaboration approach. So that's to summarize a bit.
Yeah, very good example, I will say, of what normally happen in this type of ecosystem and the main challenges. Thank you very much. Then let's know about ISBE. Not from the technical side, that I know you are very knowledgeable in the topic, but we are looking for also in terms of managed innovation and the ecosystem level.
Okay. You know, I was telling the history of Alastria because finally we received the funding last year to build the blockchain infrastructure that we always wanted. Okay, that is ISBE. Is you know, when you have 400 members, most of them actives, half SMEs, half of them SMEs. Almost every public company, big company in Spain, 15 countries, members from 15 countries, almost every public university, and they've been playing around in a safe playground as our net was for the last 7 years. A lot of people knew what they wanted to build to really go in production, because what we felt is that we didn't have a production ready blockchain network for European use cases. Okay, you know, the ones that, you know, most of the members of Austria want, that are, you know, or either Web3 native builders or Web3 adopters, companies that need to move some process to blockchain, or, you know, corporates, financial sector, and so on. So you know, we had only like 10 months to deliver a production-ready infrastructure with our wish list. That was GDPR compliant, NIS2, DORA, MiCA, EIDAS2, you know, or all the incorporating of the lesson learned of EBSI large-scale pilots that Alastria was very active. So it was a mess. It was a mess, but you know, we wouldn't have, you know, we have been handling, I've been member coming from an SME and then from a public corporate company, and getting involved in the Alastria ecosystem. So there was a lot of exchanges and a lot of needs openly shared from different members. So the question is that we've been talking about what we need for a lot of years, and then there was a catalyzation process. And you know, when you, it's a different, you know, when you put words on a sheet, that's easy. When you need to create a software that needs to be running, that's a different thing. So I think we learn a lot by building a software and the infrastructure. And managing that was, you know, it was like 27 companies building software, 150 people, probably all of them specialists. So, you know, it was all of that done with a lot of heart. Because if you don't have that, probably we should have a lot of fight, okay, a lot of ego management and so on. So I think we've been fostering an ecosystem of innovation and thinking about a lot about digital identity. Spain was the first country globally that has a standardization paper on digital identity, self-sovereign digital identity. It was promoted by Alastria. we've been working on that for, you know, the last, since I think 2019. We've been working on GDPR. We've been managing that kind of problems, and we've been sharing a lot between companies, experts, and so on. Even people moving from company to company and staying related to Alastria. So I think the question is that you need to foster relationships between people that really are experts in the field. I have the, you know, the pleasure to be surrounded of that kind of excellent people. And at some point, you need to give them money because companies, you know, need to put their people to work on that. The question is that most of the time, the rhythm of the companies doing innovation and the innovation funding doesn't really match. So I think we need, you know, at that point, probably was a perfect time. We did a stretch planning. So if we had probably 2 years, it would be the same result. Okay, so, you know, it's okay. But we need to align to really give more freedom to companies or initiatives. You know, we need to find a way of funding management, innovation. As I stay also with in the other panel, experts had a lot of information, knowledge, but they need time and money to put there.
Okay. Then you, in your case, it's about resources. So time is a resource. And money. Okay, that's good point. Then let's move to LNET. I hope pronounced well. Ismael, can you tell us a bit more about the challenges you face and what going on in your side?
Yes. Well, I remember it was like for 7 years ago in Paris, in the OECD Blockchain Policy Forum, where the Inter-American Development Bank got an exceptional idea. That idea was to create a program focused on a digital public good, considered like the blockchain or the DLT could be. So the institutional innovation, when a multilateral organization decide to go through from the idea to test the idea, is definitely immature of the essence of LNET nowadays. In that moment was a program supported by the BID Lab, which is the arm for the investment as well for the Inter-American Development Bank. And the idea was shaped by a collective action, because there were a market. The market was clear. Latin and Caribbean countries are in a conjunction of the same development, but it was farther to this. That happened in a moment where, from a program, it was necessary to give normative reference to the infrastructure that was testing the idea in different scenarios. So from the idea, we went to test. From the testing, we would be able to identify solutions and services for positioning as a premier or as a leader for Web3, for this institutional innovation, first of all. So what happened in Europe was, since the beginning, a kind of inspiration, because with the public-private partnership that created the European Blockchain Partnership, and in consequence, the EBSI, there could be like a fellow twin flame to bridge trans-American services and digital solutions and the ecosystem itself that we were exploring. So after those testing periods, we detected that standards de jure were needed to give full certainty to the law of the land or some jurisdictions, not just a framework, but different kind of multi-governance perspective, if may I say. And in conclusion, we entered into the decision to go to the liaison with ISO TC 307. There were a possibility that a digital public good could be considered for the transformative impact that blockchain is giving in conjunction with other technologies nowadays, like IoT or AI that we discussed today. So how we could be in a fairness position. And the entity should be neutral in terms of orchestrating underlying solutions. And we were working in the governance working group, number 5, in the guidelines for governance for blockchain and DLT. And we identified that we were under conformity with one of the main principles for the interoperability. And nowadays, we are leading a project in the Working Group 7 for interoperability to provide an international standard to give interoperable solutions that could be universally applicable between digital wallets and DLT. So from the idea to the test, a multilateral organization needs to learn how to manage this innovation. And finally, LNET is positioned as a Web3 in premier markets. For instance, we have our Web3, we have Fin Web3. We are building with over 10 central banks CB Web3 as well. So it's a good bridge to go to the strategy from Europe for the Web4. And we believe on it. There are different kind of digital partnership like with India or trade aspects, even with Japan and other kind of it. And recently, Mercosur opened the door as well for these particularities. So that was a kind of the history till nowadays, Belen. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ismael. It is what Will said in innovation as a pitch. You explained very well the value proposition of LNET, and you know, the lesson to learn from you. That is very good, because in innovation we are all the time fostering innovation culture. So let's open to learn from the past, from failure, if it's possible, and then learn from this failure. So it's good to know. So, in summary, we have problem to handle complexity because the composition of ecosystem, the actors, the diversity of actors, the lack of resources, and I would say to manage uncertainty, because not always the window of opportunity is open for innovation. Let's then move to a potential solution from a standard viewpoint. So I would like to ask Cesara. Cesara, most of the main pain points we have been discussing today are, let's say, depending on the capacity to handle complexity, to create value despite the complexity. It is about capacity to innovate. And this capacity to innovate will be related to individuals, to organization, but it will set even at the ecosystem level, like you comment before. So, Cesara, please, can you tell us, because you are leading one initiative on innovation management professionals, both at the European and also collaborating at the international level, tell us about this potential solution from a standard side.
Thank you very much, Belen, for these questions. You are absolutely right. Strengthening Europe's leadership and shaping the digital future depends on enhancing innovation management capabilities at the level of individuals, organizations, and ecosystems. My contribution today focuses on the individual level, as you asked me, and in particular on the role of innovation management professionals. When we're discussing about emerging technologies such as blockchain, we often focus on infrastructure, platforms, and regulation. However, a fundamental question is, who are the professionals capable of managing innovation in these complex and evolving environments? This is precisely where standardization initiatives at both European and international level are becoming increasingly important. At the European level, within CEN TC 389, we are developing a standard on innovation management professionals. The objective is to define in a structured and transparent way the competencies required for innovation management professionals in relation to the tasks they are expected to perform, including the necessary knowledge, skills, and level of autonomy and responsibility. This work is aligned with the European qualification framework, ensuring consistency in the description and assessment of learning outcomes across countries. At the international level, the ISO 56000 series provide a comprehensive framework for innovation management at organizational level. In addition, the ongoing work on ISO 56011, which will define a competence framework for innovation management, represents a very important development. For us in Europe, this can provide a baseline for international alignment, ensuring coherence between European and global approaches. However, defining competencies is only part of the picture. To make these frameworks operational, we also need mechanisms to recognize and validate competencies, and this is where certification plays a key role. Let me briefly share the Italian experience. In Italy, we have a standard on innovation management professional, which describes the competence requirements. And on this basis, an accredited certification scheme has been implemented under the National Accreditation Body, involving now more than 10 accredited certification bodies. And today, more than 750 professionals have already been certified against the standard. Moreover, several regional funding programs supporting innovation in SMEs require the involvement of a certified innovation management professional. This demonstrates how standardization and certification can create trust, quality assurance, and real impact in the market. Among the competencies required, there is also the ability to understand and leveraging enabling technologies, including blockchain, artificial intelligence, and data-driven solutions, among the others. And this is particularly relevant in the context of the European vision of Industry 5.0, which places human centricity, sustainability, and resilience at the center of the enterprise transformation. In this perspective,
Sorry, only 1 minute to finish, because I would like to, the time is quite short, and I would like also to give the voice to Johan. So if you can conclude with final remarks on this topic, I would appreciate it.
And the use, they say, through the mutual recognition and accreditation and certification schemes, competent certification can support the mobility of professionals, the development of European learning pathways, and greater trust across borders. In conclusion, standardization initiatives at European and international level are converging towards a shared objectives to ensure that we have professionals capable of connecting technologies, organization, and ecosystems. And standards, together with certification, help ensure that Europe has the competence needed to turn technological opportunities into real economic and societal value. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Cesara. Then let's talk also regarding organization and something that is quite important regarding the ecosystem management. So I think that Johan, you can introduce us about the standard we are developing, the most important at the organizational level to create trust, maybe by certification, but also regarding the innovation ecosystem management. Johan, the floor is yours. We have 5 additional minutes. Please go ahead.
Okay, I'll try to be very short.
You can.
Let me just highlight some of the points that have been said, the challenges that have been said right before. You talked about, Zakaryae talked about the asymmetry of expertise in the ecosystem when people have to work together to build some innovations. What's funny here is that, what is true here when it comes to blockchain development is probably stronger, but similar to what we have always experienced in organization when we try to innovate. When you need to have someone from the production working with someone from the marketing, they don't speak the same language, and it's really tough to make them discuss together. But the issue with new technologies that goes so fast is that you need to be a very strong expert in, like, technical experts to understand the technical things, but a very strong economical expert to deal with the economic side of a blockchain and so on. And those people cannot talk together because they just don't speak the same language. So and it will always be difficult to make them talk about the project itself, but they need maybe about the technologies or the means to achieve something. This is where innovation management plays a key role, because where they can share language, they will never, from a technical perspective, they will always be experts in their fields, but where none of them are usually experts is on working together and building project and building innovation management. And this is where they can be aligned, and where ISO 56000 series of standards can help, where when we define an innovation management system, when we define what innovation is, when we define the steps we have to go through when we developed an innovation initiative, that helps a lot them. That can help them to get aligned and understand the areas of expertise, but they work together to create value. So what if, first of all, they could be aligned on what value they expect to create with this, using this technology in an innovation project? And so this is the focus of ISO 56000 series of standards. And so I truly believe, and that is for terminology, about speaking the same language, ISO 56000, the document itself, define words that can help, I guess, in these approaches. Then when we have to have a collaboration within an organization, so every organization can build what we call an innovation management system. It means understanding what we need, what the organization should implement to favor innovation development in-house, or through collaboration. But so you need to go through different steps. You need to understand that you have to manage uncertainty. And that was also interesting, because another point that has been said is that people don't know what they don't know. That's true. And usually they even maybe think they know what they don't know. It's even worse. And so understanding everything that you need to know to deal with innovation, but also understand where no one knows is important, so you know where uncertainty is, and this is where you can collaborate to create value together. So building an innovation management system is about being able to identify these elements, making sure that an organization can identify areas of uncertainties, can identify elements that will be needed to achieve the innovation initiative in the end. And now we're working with ISO 56012. So this is a new standard that's being developed right now that focuses on innovation ecosystems. Because, you know, again, a question of language. Each ecosystem has its own language, and you know, people do not share the same words for the same thing. Another point that was said by other experts right before was that it was important to build relationship and ensure people can move from an organization to another one. That for sure. But what if they don't use the same words to describe the same jobs? How can people move from one place to another if we don't even know what part of the role they are playing, or what role they play in the ecosystem? And so ISO 56012 is about ecosystem management, and will help innovation ecosystem management, and will help this ecosystem not to be all organized in the exact in an identical way, but in similar ways, finding what should be common everywhere, so people can interoperate, so they can share they can share processes, they can collaborate on and define some parts where they collaborate, some parts where they do not. They have to have similar organization to be in this, to reach these approaches. Then a final point about the importance of certification or guidances and so on. At ISO level, in the 56,000 series of standards, we have a lot of discussion about this. And we work on the two levels. We provide a lot of documents that are made of guidances, considering that, you know, this helps dissemination of language. This helps people to find, you know, to be able to look at the full thing and pick the most important thing for them. But we also started to we have one standard, ISO 56001, related to the innovation management system, which is a requirement standard where organization can be certified and can, you know, have an external auditor coming in and certifying that they do respect the full standard. That helps for trust, of course, and that can help maintain ensuring that the system is maintained over time. But I guess both approaches are complementary, and where we need certification sometimes, we also need people to have, you know, to be able to enter with something that is more about guidances. So yeah, just to close this, my speech here, I just want to highlight that, standards for innovation management are usable for anyone that wants to develop new technologies and innovation, but also an innovation that might not be technological as well. But in the field of, I would say that the highest, the newest the technology is, the highest you probably need to build a common language and common approaches and common processes to better collaborate if you want this technology to become an innovation. Because a new technology is not an innovation. When you have to go from the new technology to the innovation side, then you need to find use, you need to find value, you need to find the way to achieve the real value and to make user use it. That's it for me.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Johan. We need to end this panel, but only some remarks. Clearly, we need to collaborate. We need to collaborate despite the diversity, the different viewpoints, and handle complexity. So it is most of the main obstacles we comment today are not new for the European Commission. I'm fully aware about it. You have a new Innovation Act. You identify very well some of them, lack of the fragmentation of the European market, the difficulty to funding companies. A lot of them are more or less in this discussion. And I will not end with a recommendation. I will end with a question for the all of here, but also for the European Commission. Should we innovate in the standardization governance? Hopefully the reply is yes, and let's continue the discussion. Thank you very much, all the panelists, for your very insightful collaboration. And let's let's move to the next panel. Thank you.